After getting terminal brain cancer, I made it my life ambition to use social media as charity fundraising. I turned 31, and just after, I had my first brain surgery.
I am going to die within 3 years, according to the doctors.
This is a bad thing, but it can be used for good. Taking imperfect action rather than waiting for a perfect plan is infinitely more valuable than planning.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers Interviews, and today we are flying out to Ireland to sit down with the King of Chemo, Iain Ward. And this guy is an absolutely true inspiration. At a young age, he was diagnosed with brain cancer and given just a few years to live. So many people, including probably myself, might bow down in that situation, but Iain Ward did not. He became the King of Chemo, an internet personality and an amazing persona, motivating and inspiring people, and also on a mission to raise the most money possible to fight brain cancer. This is his story, and it's absolutely incredible. Let's dive into it.
All the bad stuff in life ends up being good stuff, because that's
I like that. That's a good mentality.
Yeah, and the reverse. So it's very much back to that. The poem, the only poem I really like, and there's one line in it that's the older I get, the more true I see it, which is meet with triumph and disaster and treat both of those imposters the same.
What's that? Is that Rudyard Kipling?
Yeah, if you'd like this, then I am. Yeah. So if has 32 lines. So I think you've already worked out what I've been doing every single
Oh gosh, yeah, of course. Yeah, so okay, does each line hold on its own?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And then bing, bing, bing in all the different counties.
Do you know if, off the top of your head?
I do now, yeah. I used to just kind of know it in general, but after a while, like I wouldn't know it for like a perfect phrase. Like often I have to pause and think, which paragraph am I missing out on? But in general, like once it gets going.
What about it's like the big part that you was like, oh, this is, really resonates?
I think there was a really good GAA advert that was, it has the last bit where it's like, if you can, also I feel like the last bit is perfect for the kind of stuff I'm doing, which is like, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, it's like, that's a bit up my alley. And then it's, was it yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
I mean, it is really powerful, super weighty, that is.
Yeah.
Did you, all this kind of stuff, was you in it before you started doing all these events and everything? Like, did you, poems like If and stuff like that?
If is the only poem I really like. There's a two posters or frame kind of poems in my room, and the other one is Invictus. And I just kind of got them because it was like, for balance, like kind of two there. One kind of didn't quite look right, and every so often I look at Invictus and I kind of just go, it's a bit like up your own hole. It's like, it's very kind of, it would work for certain Americans, but I feel like it's a bit too like, I'm f***ing unstoppable, nothing's gonna bring me down. Like, it'd be perfect for David Goggins. It's a David Goggins poem, but like
I didn't know you had a Goggins tattoo.
Yeah, that was actually one of the charity tattoos, and he donated a chunk of money, and I was like, oh yeah, you can get any kind of tattoo you want ink-wise, and he was just like, oh, I don't know, man, get David Goggins, and then who's gonna carry the boats? And when I heard that, I was like, oh man, that's so good. I won't just get that on my leg, I think I'll get it on my arm.
I can literally see that video. He's bench pressing with like somebody. Yeah, he's like talking to the camera. Yeah, it's a good one.
He's bench pressing with
is it Cam Haynes?
Cameron Haynes. So it's like two lads who are just like endurance nutcases.
Yeah, finding a bench press. It's a funny one to watch because they just, doing it in their own way, man. It's ludicrous.
It's kind of, I always find David Goggins is such a funny, like he's so serious that he's funny. But then like I look at his stuff and I'm laughing at it, and then it's just like, man, he's such a wild bastard. But then like it kind of goes past the wildness, and it's like, he's not wrong though. I better get out there and start like, kind of pushing myself.
Yeah, he's like a caricature for you need to go, but it works. I mean, yeah. So you're writing a book. Like, is that something you've been doing for a while?
I'm contemplating the idea of it just because someone suggested it. Someone suggested a small one for specifically targeted at younger men, and I was kind of like what? And someone pointed out where it's like, well, you're kind of like the middle ground of like everything that would be seen as sort of the best way to be a man is always pushed to the extremes, and there's like very little that's just kind of right in the center where it's like, yeah, have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so it's like the hyper alpha male, which is just sort of like, you know, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, care only about your finances, don't do anything that's fun, only focus on this, work out every day. And then on the far side, it's like, you know, be in touch with yourself, be super caring to everybody, don't give in to all this, you're beautiful, you can be fat, like, you know. And it's just kind of like, can there not be one in the middle where it's like, yeah, care for people, but also like go to the gym, but don't be crazy about it.
Yeah. It feels like there is no middle ground with that. Either David Goggins or some spiritual guru or whatever.
Yeah.
You said about like the small things, turning them into like positive things. Is that been easily applicable to the big things? Obviously, like with the diagnosis and everything, was that something that you had to get your head around to turn it into a positive?
In a lot of ways, no. Straight away, I just kind of saw the opportunity. It was like the first thing that popped into my mind, as opposed to like, you're in a lot of fucking trouble here. And it was just kind of like, I saw the two sort of sides of things where it's like, right, you need to, like, I was not having an argument, but I was having a debate in my own mind where it's like, I really don't want to tell my parents about me having cancer, specifically just because like they'll be annoying. They'll just constantly ask me questions about the same thing over and over and over again when I want to try and like go into the situation with the blinkers on, because extra amount of focus on the fact that I have to go in for a craniotomy is not going to help the scenario. So it's just like, right, just like try and sort things out now that may sort of you might not be able to do after the surgery. So most of it was just like, shoot your lots of YouTube stuff now while you have the ability to talk, so that while you are unable to speak for a while, you can edit the videos and upload them even though you're not able to speak. So that was me kind of preparing for me losing speech after the surgery. But I wasn't like sort of preparing a will or like that level. I was preparing in a very kind of realistic but optimistic sort of scenario. And then so with that, I was like, I can't hear my parents like, when is the surgery? When is the surgery? What time? And it's like, fuck off, I don't want to talk about any of this. But the thing that kind of made me sort of do it, where it's like, well, you might not be able to inform them of this properly, because if you can't speak properly afterwards, it's going to be really frustrating and it's going to be worse. And then also it's like, you're their son. You have a certain amount of family duty to uphold. So it was like, yeah, I've got this. And then it was instant. I was like, I've got this. Please don't ask me questions about it. Yeah, with all the questions. Like, we're here to support you. Okay, you can support me by not asking the same questions over again. Okay. And it's just like, like just continuing on to ask all the questions.
I've been getting tons of messages asking about my health protocols ever since I did the world's heaviest marathon. The experience took a toll, and getting back to optimal health has been an absolute journey. That's where Marek Health have been absolutely essential. Their approach is beyond quick fixes. It's about long-term health and performance. They work with medical professionals to create personalized, evidence-based plans tailored to your needs, using pharmaceutical-grade treatments and cutting-edge diagnosis. Whether it's TRT, peptides, supplements, or like me, getting full health analysis to get you back on track, Marek Health provides everything that you need. And it's not just for athletes. If you're an entrepreneur or businessman like me, you might want that renewed focus, clarity, and energy. That's when Marek Health can get your brain performing at its peak. From comprehensive blood work to customized health plans, Marek gives you the tools to optimize your life. If you're ready to take control of your health, go to marekhealth.com and use code Mulligan for 10% off. The link's down below. I can't recommend them enough. And if you just wanted to get started, I would go and get your blood work done. Go get assessed, find out where they can help you. Use the link down below for 10% off using code Mulligan. Let's dive back into the video.
Do you remember any knowledge of the diagnosis, have you got like the brief like sort of overview of like from, you know, walking around standard life and then finding it all out and everything, and what the diagnosis was?
No, it was all fairly quick because it was the benign tumor. That didn't bother me at all. That went through like I think 7 months of having the sort of the benign tumor in the head that no sort of update was given to it. And then the second scan it was all very quick. It was like, you got brain cancer, or very likely brain cancer. We're going to take you in for a craniotomy. And so it was all this sort of information in a very short period of time. And within that, I was just kind of thinking, like, if this happens, like, what are you going to do afterwards, rather than going the other way of thinking this is the best way to cure cancer. It was more like, what can you do with this? And the first thing that kind of just popped into my mind, because it was all like, all this different stuff was like building up and almost leading to it, where I had the YouTube channel set up because that was just COVID and I had the free time, and it was all about like just video games and stuff. But then I was like, the camera's going to be facing here. They're going to see that I'm probably going to have hair loss here. I'm probably going to have like a scar. So it's like, just address the elephant in the room. Don't make it too much of a big deal. Make it about the video games, but also mention, yeah, I've got this surgery, but like every time I get a headshot, then you've got to donate £1 to brain cancer. And I was going to just say it like, hey, it's headshots for head cancer. And so it was just like making a bit of fun of the situation, but like not making it too much of a big deal. But then when I found out that it was like, yeah, this is exactly as bad as we thought it was going to be, it's stage 3 brain cancer, you're going to have to go through all this. And then, so because I had already had the concept of doing stuff for charity associated with what I was doing, and it was like, right, well, you might have 5 years left to live. That's not a huge amount of time. Knowing myself, I was like, you probably will get past that point. You're young, and they've already said like that's going to be an advantage to you, but they don't have that many statistics on 30-year-olds that come in with no symptoms. So with that, I was like, right, let's just dial up the charity thing. And I just started tinkering around with like, what's the world record for most money raised for charity? And I think the first thing that I looked into was marathon runs, because I knew from experience that I had done one myself. But then I also I knew that from a storytelling perspective, a cancer patient running a marathon is something that people would be like, what? He's not meant to be able to do that. But then I knew myself that from the doctor, brain cancer that I have is not going to be that physically impairing, and the chemotherapy that I'm going through is also not going to be that physically impairing, because they can't like blast your head with chemo. It's the most vital organ that we have. So I kind of knew that I could tell a story that a lot of people would be kind of attracted to, and so it just kind of went from that quite quickly. It was like literally like within a week of my surgery that I'd made that decision. And then so 7 days after the surgery itself, it was just like nothing else.
So you would have been what, 29 when you got the diagnosis?
I was 30 when I had my first scan about having a benign tumor. Then I was 30 I was still 30 when I had my second scan, and then I turned 31, and just after I had my first brain surgery. My only brain surgery so far, but I might have more ones in the future.
At 31, they do the pre-brain surgery. They say to you, they're going to give you 5 years. Is that what, or this is the sort of, from this situation we've seen historically, it's around 5 years?
Well, they didn't say that. I asked them, because again, I had already kind of decided that I was going to make this world record attempt thing. So I was kind of like, I've like squeezed it out of them, where it's like, give me some kind of a number to work with here. And when they're saying 5 years, it was like, okay, that's enough time to do something significant. But they also were saying like, this is an average. 5 years is an average, and it's an average that we are usually basing off of 60-year-olds, because those are the people that go into hospital for a full body scan and they don't have any symptoms, and then cancer is detected. Whereas I was 30 and they were like, we don't have data on people of your age, but you know, most sort of doctors or scientists, if they were betting And they're like very much like, we don't like to bet. We don't want to give false hopes to people. We don't want to go off of research and data. But if we were betting, being young and having brain cancer is probably going to increase your likelihood of living longer than the average. But they were still like, don't bank on us, because there's no data on that. There's very little data on that because it's just not heard of.
Okay. What's the psychology for you? Like, what were the big things in your head that, I don't know, maybe people don't realize?
The tumor, of course.
I set you up for that one.
You did.
That was an easy layup. That people don't think about. Like, was it instantly like, I've only got a certain amount of time, I need to be urgent? Was it head down, I'm just going to keep working, like I'm going to ignore it? Like, what was the thoughts and feelings that came to mind?
There was elements of both, but so I was more focused on my health during the chemo and that sort of stuff, and so like I wasn't drinking alcohol. I was trying to really trying a lot harder to focus on my diet, and then I just started like kind of going off the wagon a bit, and then it kind of like I wasn't having any symptoms, and then I just kept normalizing myself more, and in a lot of ways, which is, I wouldn't say unhealthy. I don't know, maybe the lack of stress is possibly healthy. It's very much that kind of, you'll be bitten by the snake only if you fear the snake kind of scenario that I might be in, where it's like, I don't take my cancer currently very seriously. My diet is very good, but like I drink beer, which is there's no link necessarily to alcohol directly with brain cancer, but like alcohol in general it's not good for any kind of health, but it is a cause of like several different kinds of cancer. So if I could have full control of myself in some ways, I might want to like get rid of that as a vice. But like all my friends socialize sort of beaconed around that sort of event, and like a music festival is so much fun, and it's just not going to be as fun unless you have that kind of your inhibitions taken away from you, and then you're just running around in the nip.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I wrote this down yesterday whilst I was talking on the hill, and I thought this was I think one of the biggest interests in your story is, it's that question that everyone's asked, is like, what would you do if you knew you was going to die? And I think like you're kind of living that situation out where you're like, right, I've been given a time period or a window, and then you've decided, I think, to do what a lot of people probably wouldn't say, and like you're fundraising, you're doing all this kind of stuff. What's the thought process behind that? Like, why go this direction?
I suppose the first thing that I thought of was, it wasn't so much you're going to die. It was more like you're likely not going to live a very long period of time. And I was kind of like, all right, well, you have, in a lot of ways, you have a lot of power in this situation. I knew just in general, like I'd easy to be able to get far more attention from just being like, I've got this burden to deal with, but I'm choosing to do something else. So I knew that would be an advantage straight away. And so that kind of was like, all right, well, what can I do with this? This is a bad thing, but it can be used for good, because like we have so many examples of people who have sort of turned around stuff like that. And so I started, like, it took very little time for me to do it, but I just was kind of like looking around. I was like, what about charity? And so it just was like, how can I use this bad thing against itself, or use it for something that's good? And the charity thing was just the first thing that popped into my mind. It was just like, it was a very easy decision for me. It was just, okay, that one. First thing that I looked at was pretty much the marathon and the most money raised, and then that was it. I was like, okay, this is my entire life being now. This is the one thing that I'm going to focus on for every moment of every day.
Do you remember the first like reaction from sharing that story? Because obviously you're doing the gaming and stuff, but like once you started to talk about it, like, do you remember the first reaction, the first positive reaction?
No, not particularly. If anything, the start was very frustrating because I had like similar to what I was saying earlier on with like my parents, where they were saying like, oh, we'll support you, and then they do the opposite. And then it's a similar sort of thing with when I launched the first video, and like all I was doing was like using Facebook to be like, hi guys, can you just share this story? You're my friends, yeah, you know me or whatever. Just help me trying to get that first push. And it was just kind of like loads of people helped at the start, and then like after 2 videos or something, it was just like boom, and it was just like, Jesus Christ, like, is there no like proper loyalty here? And this wasn't even like my wide circle, this was like very kind of my close friends, and it was like texting putting the video into like the WhatsApp group chat or whatever, and it's like, here lads, just drop a like on that, not even watch it and criticize. I would ask them to do that, but it's like, lads, I understand you're in work or whatever. Well, actually they weren't in work because it was COVID, so people didn't have anything else to do, and it was still just like, that was frustrating to deal with. But I suppose in a way it was a bit of a mind opener, where it was like, right, you're not going to be able to, people aren't going to help you a huge amount with this, so it's like it's up to you to do it, which was painful because I kind of thought that some people would like kind of get things going, but it just didn't really take off. Johnny was always there. He's the guy who I did the best man speech for. He was the guy who convinced me to do TikTok. So he's been there number one for like the whole way through, and always given helpful criticism and being like, nah, that's shit, you're repeating yourself there. You're like, just, he was always on, and has been from the start.
What's the sort of outreach been from people in similar situations? Like, have you had that, you know, I've been given a similar diagnosis or anything like that? Yeah,
quite a lot, which is sometimes not frustrating from their point of view, but often I can't get in touch with those people just because of the amount of fucking spam that gets sent to me on Instagram. I even have a thing where it's like, if you Instagram someone a DM, often they have an automatic reply. I'm sure people have seen it with like businesses or whatever. And so I set up an automatic reply being like, do not send me reels. Don't say anything about religion. Please don't do this. Because if you're doing this, you are preventing me from communicating with sponsors. Sponsors use DMs to communicate with me, and you are literally spamming my inbox and making it difficult for me to find people. And within that, the same thing, some people are reaching out because they're going through a very similar situation. And those are the kind of people who I would like to communicate back with. Now there's a lot of them, so like I can't do it with everybody, but every so often I do try and get back. But then like people are just sending me photos or like videos of like walruses that are, you know, wobbling around. It's like, why the are you doing this? I'm asking people not to do this, and it's like sending me stuff in foreign languages that it's like, what? Why? Like, come on! Like, do you think I speak Hindi? Why are you sending me this?
What's the advice you give those people?
Oh, it's always dependent on sort of what they're sort of looking for. So often I would say that everybody is different, and the talking about it, I think, is something that people sort of gravitate towards. And so something that I've said is like, again, everyone has their own different way of dealing with this. Me personally, I wanted to be treated as a normal person, as far apart from, you know, kind of like, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? It's like, fuck off. Stop asking that question. I get what it comes from, a place of love, but I understand that it's like, for me, it's just like, it's like someone asking, what's your name, the same time over and over again. It's like, it gets boring.
Did you do the boring of like getting your affairs in order and all that kind of stuff at some point?
No, still haven't got a will.
No. Do you remember the first time telling a person, like, was that your parents then?
No, it was my friends, and it was about the question was, you guys know you're not going to be annoying me. Should I tell my parents? So it was like, that was the first thing I was kind of asking them, and I was giving them like, I know they're going to be doing this, but at the same time it's like this. And I think the overall vote was, tell them but don't tell them right now. Tell them a little bit closer to the thing. And then that way they'll have the information, but they won't be annoying you as much.
My mum would kill me if I.
Yeah. Well, one of it was for a pretty good reason, because it was near my brother's birthday. So I was like, I don't want to ruin that.
Damn. Okay. Wow. That's quite selfless, I guess, as well.
Oh, I got my own back though, because my surgery was, my mum and my dad have a birthday of 5 days apart, and my surgery was right bang in the middle. So I was like, yeah, take that.
You mentioned yesterday as well about like, I'm not trying to pretend to be some altruistic guy who's doing all this kind of stuff, which, you know, you are doing this stuff, but there is some, you want to do some cool shit as well. Like that's a part of it, right? You want to push your body to like test its limits and stuff. Yeah,
it's not so much about doing the amazing, interesting things. That's far more for just like when I did the 7 marathons in 7 days thing. Truth be told, I really didn't want to actually do that, just because I knew my knee was not in particularly good condition, and then also with the situation that we were going in, it was like, we're going to be flying out of everywhere. So it's like, even though that sounds really cool, I suppose it comes back to the same sort of logic or the same idea where I knew in myself that the brain cancer that I had and that the chemotherapy that I would go through wouldn't be that taxing on my body. And so it's the same thing where I was looking at the 7 marathons thing, and it was like, oh man, I know that that's going to be like, you're not going to be able to see the actual countries that you're going to, and even like the continents that you're going to. We're going to be in and we're going to be out. So I bet that it's going to feel really kind of sort of like a fear of missing out. Like, I've technically been to Australia now, but like I literally I think the metaphor, or not the way of kind of like, I haven't been to Australia in a lot of ways. I have not bought anything in Australia. So like, that's kind of who goes to Australia and doesn't even like purchase anything, because we were just in straight to the track, back on the plane, out again. And I I knew it would be like that. But I then also was like, this will look really cool on social media. This is the kind of thing that would draw eyes. So it's like, this is definitely worth doing. So let's do this because it will look good, rather than something. If it was just me, I probably wouldn't have like signed up to do it as like my own adventure, because I don't think I would have enjoyed it as an individual. Like the 32 counties thing, the logistics of getting around is tricky, but nothing compared to like 18 hours on a flight and not being able to see any part of the continent that you're in while you're there.
Just a quick interruption from the video. I want to talk about our paid partnership with BetterHelp. As you guys are aware, I've always been super open about my mental health, anxiety, depression. For a long time, the way I would deal with that is by burying those emotions, working really hard, running hundreds of miles, and burying those feelings deep down inside. That's why over the last 2 years, I have stuck to online therapy. Weekly online therapy, and it's been absolutely incredible. It was a massive weight off my shoulders. I know I'm not the only person who feels like this, but sometimes it can feel like you are, and you can feel super alone in that anxiety, that depression. And then we have to add the mix of social media in there. For somebody like myself, I'm on social media all the time for work, but so many other people look on there and see these highlight reels of people's lives that's just not true reality. All of these things can be super overwhelming. For a lot of people, we decide to keep it to ourselves. We think we can battle through, we can push through. That's why I turned to online therapy, and you can too with BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a credentialed therapist who can help navigate whatever you're going through. It's an online platform, so you can do your sessions from wherever feels comfortable. And if the first therapist isn't a right fit, you can switch at no extra cost. Most people using BetterHelp are looking for support with anxiety, and 69% report improvement after just 6 weeks. Therapy helped me shift my perspective, process things in a way I couldn't do alone, and actually start feeling lighter. If you've been thinking about therapy, this might be the right sign to give it a go. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Mulligan Brothers for 10% off your first month of therapy. Let BetterHelp rule your anxiety, so anxiety doesn't rule you. Let's get back to the video. So we do like random travel, and like I think sometimes we'll realize we've been to places and you can't remember it, but being in Australia just to do a marathon and running off afterwards is kind of bonkers.
Yeah. Sorry, I suppose I didn't actually answer your question there. So the reason that like I would kind of project that stuff out is for more people to be entertained by the channel itself, but ultimately it's not so much about the particular endurance events themselves. It's more about the I think a big one for me is that it's no one has ever done it before, and so it's like the sort of the adventurer's idea, where you're going out into the unknown and you've got to try and figure it out yourself. No one has done it for you. So like, I suppose pairs quite nicely with like the people who wanted to go to the South Pole for the first time. It's like no one's ever done that before. So there is something really exciting about not having a manual to flick through. It's like, you got to figure this out for yourself. And so with that, it was kind of like the attraction of being the first person to do something. And then also I just quite like the idea where, not that I have a major problem with like capitalism, obviously the wage divide, that kind of the monopoly system of once you're rich, it's easy to stay rich. Obviously that's not a good thing, but it was also, I quite like the idea where I'm going to kind of flip that on its head a little bit, where it's like, I'm going to be the exception of people who are like big on social media, and it's like, yeah, he's still just like stays over in his parents' house when he's in Ireland. He doesn't have a second gaff there, and yeah, he's like incredibly sort of like successful on social media, but you're not seeing him driving around in a Lamborghini and, you know, wearing all sort of stupid expensive watches that are like, you know, the second hand is made of diamonds, and it's like, is that really like, you know, that important? You could have given that to someone. You could have opened like a homeless shelter or something. And like, I understand people aren't sort of like, don't have that, I could have gave every bit of my money away to help people out. But I think even like, never mind like the selfishness, I think it's just kind of like, you don't like make yourself happier in the right way, because a big part of something that people have from sort of the separation of things would be because there's all these sort of problems going on in the world, and in a lot of ways you could kind of solve a lot of them by like just putting money into the scenario. So like crime rates, you know, that's from people who are like desperate. And so if you were just to be able to like sort out a neighborhood in some way, the crime rates would drop down, meaning that you would then be less stressed because you wouldn't be worried about your house being burgled and stuff like that. So I kind of look at someone who's like, you know, a multi-billionaire and like all the extra security that they have. And I know it's not like an easy fix where it's like, just solve poverty in the world, because it's not that easy at all. But I always sort of think like your diamond watch, it's like you're attracting problems. And then so you have to then have a security team around you. And it's almost like if you didn't have the diamond watch and you didn't have the security team, and you put that money on like into some sort of educational center or like a community center in like poor areas, then like, you know, it's almost like it's correcting the misbalance. And so that makes me sound like a big fucking hippie, but in a lot of ways it's kind of like more like problem solving to me, where it's like you're investing in the wrong thing there. You should be investing in that, and then you can just walk around and people aren't going to bother you, and there aren't going to be that many problems. You know, you can walk around in Piccadilly Circus with your phone sort of looking at this. You don't have to walk around with your phone like this all the time. It's not like it's easy to solve those problems, but you could kind of have a good go of it if you took care of these other things that you have.
I don't know if it's a bad comparison, but a lot of people like, I don't know if you've seen those TikTok videos of like people out in Dubai, and they leave their wallets out on the top of the car and it doesn't get stolen or anything, because there's such an abundance. Like there's no requirement to go steal or anything. But I don't know if it's a bad comparison.
No, I think it does kind of follow into the same sort of thing. Also, if you steal something in Dubai, you get your head chopped off. So you know, there's also that.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Is it materialistic like stuff? Have you changed your stance on that? Your opinion on that? Have you always felt like that?
No, it never really sort of gravitated to me too much. Like normal things that are just a little bit nicer. Like I wonder if I was to buy a decent car, would I then sort of crave an even nicer car? But so I don't know where my sort of limits with that sort of thing would be, but actually I do, because like when like I've stayed in normal hotels, and then I've stayed in nice hotels before. And I remember one time when we were doing sort of a road trip in America, the person who I was with was like, you know, try the Soho hotel for once to just kind of see what it's like. And so I spent the money on staying in the Soho hotel, and like it was really nice and all, but I was just kind of looking around like, this is not worth the fucking money at all. and it was, sort of like he paid for the actual thing, but I still just didn't enjoy the actual experience because it was just like, why is this expensive? Why is this 3 times as expensive as a normal hotel, where it's like the room is nicer, and it's like, is it 3 times nicer? No, it's not. So it was almost like more frustrating being like, why is this? What like justifies this extra amount of cash?
I struggle with that. Hotels, flights is a big one. Like, for obviously we try and stay on a budget for this kind of stuff, and business class flights is like what, 10 times more expensive or something. I could do 10 times the amount of flights in economy.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to do the quantity than the quality. I'd like the leg room, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, it's wild. And yeah, hotels are the same. Maybe like 5, 10, 20% better, but not, 3-4 times.
Not worth
it's kind
that.
of wild, yeah.
Although with that, I think there's one sort of exception that I have kind of learned, where it's like the super early, I think this would be for Ryanair now, not like I'm switching around, but like the super early flights that you would have at like 4 o'clock in the morning, it's like, you save 20 quid doing that. It's like, spend the 20 quid there to get like the thing at lunchtime. And it's like, you will then have a day where you have slept. And it's just like, what you think you're saving, you're actually not. So there definitely is spend money and save time. I'm definitely a person that would massively agree with that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So we had a family wedding out in Cyprus, and my brother could save like £20 driving all the way from Nottingham down to Luton Airport. Was it Luton Airport? It's like 3 or 4 hour drive in the middle of the night, and I was like, £20 more, you can fly out from East Midlands, and it's a 20-minute drive.
Did he include the petrol?
Exactly. And he came back at random o'clock, and it was just hilarious. I was like, just to save 20 quid, but yeah. What's your perspective shift on like, what are the really important things in life? Like, have you had a shift from before till now?
No, not in the slightest.
What would you say the important things are?
I would definitely think that, for me anyway, it's like, it sounds a bit wanky to be like, to know yourself. I think like that's not quite right in sort of my ethos in things, but like definitely something that I have learned is more to taking imperfect action rather than waiting for a perfect plan is a much better way to live. Unless you work in NASA, then probably you need that perfect plan. But exceptional to that, like just getting out there and taking a shot at something is far more worthwhile than being like, oh, I'd like to be a YouTuber, I'd like to be a thing, but I don't think it's for me. But I would like it. I'd like to be a stand-up comedian, but I don't think it's for me. Oh, maybe I will do it. I'll just make this perfect 5-minute opening mic thing. It's like, just get on the stage as soon as you decide that you would like to do it. I just fucking get on and do a 5-minute thing. Like, do it within a week. Do not wait around to have like your 5-minute thing, because experience is just infinitely more valuable than planning.
You said that about the marathon the other day. Like, people can go out there and just do it. Like, there's distance. Like, I love that idea, because I think so many people I need to go do the Tokyo Marathon in London. I need to train for years and years and years for it. And I'm not saying that that's not a good thing to try and do, get times and stuff, but you could go out and do a marathon. A marathon's a distance. You can go out tomorrow and do that. I think most people are probably capable of doing it. It's not going to be the fastest thing in the world, but if you was to remove or if you take everything into consideration, like Instagram, the success you've had, like perceived success that people would dream of having, millions and millions of people following you, all the runs that you've done, all that kind of stuff, where do you find the most value in what you're doing at the moment for yourself?
I think sometimes when I've been working on a video and there's kind of like the planning around it, and then the launch, and then often sort of when there's a moment when you're looking at it, it's like, yes, it is doing well. We know it's doing well now. There's a very sort of satisfying feeling of your idea worked, wherever that is. And I think that would be the thing that is the biggest one. But that said, like, I don't actually have a lot of big peaks in my happiness or my sadness. I suppose I've really have focused on the whole triumph and disaster concept from that poem a lot more. Yeah, girlfriend hates it. Whenever she's like, "Are you excited to do this thing?" And I was like, "Nah." And she's like, "What? You're not excited?" It's like, "I'm looking forward to it, but like I'm not excited about it." And she was like, "Oh my god, you're not excited to see me?" It's like, I'm looking forward to it, but like what excitement is versus what is looking forward to something. It's like, I'm not excited for Christmas, but I'm looking forward to it. You know, I enjoy that. I'm looking forward to doing the New York Marathon. I'm not excited about it. I'm looking forward to the Clontarf Rugby Club after this, when we're like gonna celebrate and have the pints or whatever. I'm looking forward to like seeing what the gate is gonna look like. But again, not particularly excited about it. But that goes two ways, and it's in a lot of ways that's kind of how I've ended up as the person that I am, because it's like, yeah, you're going in for a craniotomy. How do you feel? You know, bit worried, but you know, not. They're gonna scoop out my fucking brain.
This is the best way to be, I think. Like, I mean, I don't want to put that out there, like I know, but like we have this really wise Shaolin master who comes on the channel, and he sits there and he basically says the same thing, is like the more you invest in the highs, like the more you'll invest in the lows, and like he says it really quite wisely, but it's true. Like, and I think you see those people who can ride really, really high. Icarus, the story of Icarus is a great example, but trying to stay somewhere in the middle is the best way to be. Easily said than done. But yeah, I completely agree with that. I think when life throws you a shit sandwich, usually you're better equipped for it, I'd say.
Yeah, well, especially with that, like the peak thing. There's in the views, that is like, I do rein myself in quite a lot with that as well, because it's like, this is cool, this is what you wanted, you put this together, this is working, but don't get too happy with it, because ultimately, what's the point of this? It's to lead to sponsors. And so it's like, don't get too excited, because if the sponsors don't come in, which has happened before, you don't want to like fall off that sort of crescendo that you've built yourself up to. And to go back to the 7 marathons thing, I don't know if we said this on the walk, but like the 7 marathons thing, that also coincided with me winning a TikTok award. And at the TikTok award, actually, I suppose that goes back to, I know this will come off as very negative, because I suppose it is, I guess, but down to like people who you think are reliable and they're just not. When I did the TikTok award, I did a good speech, and it went down well, and a lot of people were coming over and shaking a hand afterwards, being like, "Oh wow, that was a powerful speech," and blah 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 blah. And what I was saying in it was like, I'm in a room full of people who are all big on social media together, and much like the kind of like a Mexican wave, if all of you can share this particular story in one moment, it would absolutely start a sort of an ongoing hashtag or whatever that a lot of people around the world could get involved with. And I tried to make it as much as possible to be like, you right now, like I promise you, I've proven this before, that this money will raise money for cancer research, and it will help your friends and family. I know it's quite the ego trip, but please try to like overlook that. And then when I was speaking to everybody in person, I was kind of thinking, saying it online, people would think this guy's fucking up his own arse to a degree that's unbelievable. He's in another dimension. He's so far up his own arse. And then I thought, if I could actually speak to them in person, that they might be like, no, he's using that sort of aware, that like all the eyeballs on him for something else that's not actually about just kind of look at me. And I kind of was hoping that they might be like, yeah, this is his goal, but it does actually help us from a health insurance kind of perspective. And so many people that were at like the TikTok award thing were all like, yeah, we'll do it. And again, I kind of knew, like, I bet maybe 10% of them might do it, and it was just zero. It was literally zero. And so that was a little bit deflating. I was kind of not banking on that, but I was really hoping that that's what getting the award. That's the only reason that I wanted the award, was to literally do that speech. It was exclusively my only reason. I didn't think that. I thought having the award might help a little bit with getting sponsors, but not a huge amount. And so that's what I was kind of focusing on. And then even after that as well, it was like, I was putting so much effort into winning that voting award, because it required people to like follow a link and press the voting button, which I felt was so cringy itself, because it was like, hey, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me for voice of change. It's like, that's a real like awful ego trip in a lot of ways, being like, I'm the biggest voice of change, I'm the biggest inspirational person, vote for me. And it was just like, I had to like force myself to do it a lot, where it's like, it's not about you winning the award, it's about what the award can get. And then so those two things happening, which are like on paper positives, and they both just like didn't sort of come to fruition with what I was really trying to get from that. And then so that was very much a sort of a drop in happiness for me for quite a long period of time. And the thing that kind of kept me from sort of getting into depression was just working out on a regular basis in my back garden.
Okay. I mean, we recommend that all the time, working out.
Yeah.
That the same thing happened to me last year with a run. Like I felt that it was going to be this way of platforming the conversation around stillbirth and raising money for headstones and stuff. And when I finished it, like I was super deflated. Like I didn't really speak about it that much to these guys, but I was like, it's going to be it'll be this perfect moment where I'll have people's attention to be able to say it. And there wasn't, it wasn't there. And I was like, it killed me off for a long time. But yeah, I think because I was invested in this idea of what it was going to be like I had this idea. And this is where we circle back to, nobody can take away the things that you've done. Like, especially with the running stuff, the marathons, going out there and enjoying nature and all this kind of stuff. You always have that, which I absolutely promote and love. I think that's why like pushing the body is quite a special thing as well. Like it's a good way of doing it. The last one, what's been the hardest thing to deal with over the whole time period then?
I suppose that goes back to like it's the frustration of the kind of the proof that I have shown that this works, and then still just like the dragging of people to try and like do the thing that I've sort of been asking, where it's like, hey, just follow the account. And the same thing from like from sponsorships, where it's like, guys, like who works in the marketing department that you can't see that from a business perspective? Like, let's say just use a big company, Nike. That like, not that Nike need a huge amount of extra advertising, but if Nike were to just sign up and be like, right, here's the full amount, here's the full donation thing, you are now like a bit of an ambassador or whatever, and like put me on some advertisements or whatever that was thing, the amount of people that would then be like, wow, Nike basically made this guy's sort of life ambition and dream come true. And the dream itself that was like coming true is also something that helps everybody. That is the kind of thing that would sway someone over to like purchase them over like Adidas or something. And I know I'm obviously massively biased because I'm the one who's asking for this, but like that versus, hey, we're going to spend this tankard of money to sponsor like this sports star. It's like, yeah, they're doing well, but like, do you really think that like for this much money versus this much money for like the two people, like just sort of to put it into like a efficiency sort of the money, 3 million, and you're sending it to charity, you're not sending it really to me. So it's like, it's tax deductible apart from anything else. I think that would be one of the big frustrations. And then definitely the one where the people who would like unfollow the channel, I can understand it to a degree with certain sort of moments. Like I did the Berlin Marathon and that got a lot of people to unfollow. And I can kind of understand that because it's like, I didn't think about it until afterwards, where it's like, oh yeah, of course, people might think that like I'm now healthy and kind of taking the piss of the situation, or they might have had someone who had colon cancer and that's why they were following my account, and then where it's like me drinking loads of beer was almost like kind of maybe their father was an alcoholic or something and that's how they died, so it might have been a bit sort of triggering. I can understand that, but then like every single, I know this is with every kind of creator, but I kind of feel like if someone has followed the channel in the first place, it's like, what it's about. And then so there's a kind of not like I get massively dramatically upset over it, but it's more like kind of like, you know, why the have you like done that? It takes more effort to unfollow an account, and it's like, you know, the purpose of what this is. It's like you if you press the button in the first place, it's like you have the awareness that this is money that will help get funding to cancer research. And it's like, you probably pressed the button in the first place because you have somebody in your life who's doing it. And now it's like, I'm going to unfollow him. It's just kind of like, get out of your own way. Like, this is, you know.
And the last one is the roadmap, just that quick snapshot of the roadmap of like what you're trying to achieve with it, like to get followers, to get sponsors, to do this.
Yep. So after getting terminal brain cancer, I made it my life ambition to use social media as a kind of a reverse form of charity fundraising, where I don't ask anybody for funding at all. But what I ask them to do is follow the account so that the account gets really big, and then use it as an advertising platform for companies. And then I send all the advertising money to the charity. And I've been doing that for half a decade now. And I've raised over $500,000, probably closer to 600 million or 600,000 at this stage.